Welcome to the Travel Tidbits Podcast, hosted by me, Jamie Weidel, travel advisor and owner of Pineapple Escapes Travel. Join me as I share the latest travel news, top destinations, and expert tips for the savvy traveler. Because after all, travel makes life sweeter. Welcome back to the Travel Tidbits Podcast, where we share travel tips, destination insights, and behind-the-scene experiences to help you plan your next trip. Today's episode is a really fun one. We are fresh off nearly 2 weeks in Europe, still a tiny bit jet-lagged, and this was not just any trip. It was part education, part exploration, part let's see what our clients would think and experience this like our clients would. So today I'm honored to be joined by Audra Monk. She's one of our great travel agents at Pineapple Escapes, and she put up with me for nearly 2 weeks in Europe. So that's a big perk for her too.
It was fine.
And we traveled through the Netherlands.
I did sign up to go then. So.
But really, we packed a lot into this trip. So Audra, tell us a little bit about our trip and your thoughts so far.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a big trip because I guess counting the overnight flight, we were gone 14 nights. So that's a long time. However, it was good that it was broken into 3 sections. First was exploring Amsterdam and working with a DMC that we use in that area. So seeing what kinds of tours they would help us find for our clients, seeing what kind of hotels they use and that kind of thing. And then the conference, which was a big thing with 1,600 travel agents there and all the suppliers. I forget, 16 ships, I think, something like that. And 12
ships, yes.
12 different brands, because some only had 1 ship and some had 2 or 3, depending on the brand. And that, I think, was amazing. I mean, I'm still trying to organize my notes and my photos, but like that really does help to have seen the ships. And then we got to relax a little bit on our own cruise, which is also really nice to do.
Right. So let's kind of back up. There were 3 parts. So the first, we were with Europe Express. We did Amsterdam. We did Holland. We saw the hotels. We toured hotels in Amsterdam. Then we were at the ASTA River Cruise Expo. And this is all US-based travel agents where they brought those 16 ships in and we were able to tour them. We were able to meet with different suppliers. We were able to make those connections with the different cruise lines and the different cruise ships. And then Audra's husband and my husband both flew over and we sailed on the Emerald Luna for the last part, which is when we went into northern Germany and kind of got to experience a river cruise like a client would. So that was obviously really amazing. Overall, a really great trip, very long, very big investment of time, money, energy. But I know I personally learned so much, and Audra, I'm sure you did as well. But let's talk a little bit about why trips like this are so important for us as travel advisors.
Well, I think they're important because it does help our clients. Like if I did the short version, any river cruise is going to be fine. But if you're spending that much money, I want it to be more than fine. I want it to fit your style, your expectations, and maybe even exceed them. And I think being able to see the differences and kind of get the vibe of the ship and understand that, I think that is so helpful. And then also like Amsterdam, now we have options on hotels to put our clients in before or after a river cruise. Some hotels we might not want to put them in. And then some hotels are in the middle and some we like a lot, right? So I think that does help because it's more than just looking at it on your computer. And it's also good to have 2 opinions. Sometimes I think to have 2 agents together with similar, but then also some different clients and different opinions on like, I might like something and you won't, or vice versa. And I think that's really good because then it's like, oh, okay, that's good to know that someone else might feel that same way.
Yeah, I think that's really what we do is I always say sandals on the ground, but I definitely was not wearing sandals in Europe in March. I was wearing cute sneakers, but we definitely experience things so that we can match our clients with the right fit for them. And that's the case. Like in the hotels that we saw in Amsterdam, There are definitely ones I would not put a client at. I would not want to stay there. There were also ones that I really enjoyed and I would like to go back there. I would put clients there with no hesitation. And same with the river cruise ships. Like, I think there's a ship for every type of traveler. So if you're wanting really fancy with luxury and butlers, we figured that out. We know where to match you and what to put you on. If you're wanting something more casual, not quite as stuffy, I guess some people would say, we have those options as well. But we got to see and compare and contrast all of those different things so that when you come to us and we start talking about your trip, we know exactly where to put you and what's going to be the best fit. And I really think that's the value of utilizing a travel agent, is utilizing our experience, our knowledge, our expertise for your trip to be perfect. And I mean, that's really why we do what we do. Yes, it all looks fun while we're traveling, but we are actually working, promise. Okay, so let's start with the first part of our trip. So we already
Okay.
talked a little bit about how we toured different hotels in Amsterdam. I do think it really matters where you're at in Amsterdam, what kind of hotel you're at. Let's talk about the hotels we toured. Was there a favorite that you really liked? You stayed in an extra one on the back end
And
as
I did,
well, so you
yeah.
kind of
And
got a
I
different
liked,
neighborhood feel. What were your thoughts?
yeah. So I do think it depends, of course, again, on your priority location. Like, do you want to be able to walk out the hotel and have everything there? Then you might compromise a little on what the hotel looks like. Or sometimes you get lucky and get both. I'm trying to see what the name of it. I like the Flowery Hotel a lot. I don't remember what it was called, but I could see someone else.
Asteria?
Yeah, I've got the paper. I was trying to see if I could find it, but then someone else could like hate that kind of hotel. Like they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, why did you put me in this hotel?" Yeah, Esteria, Esteria. And then there were ones in the middle, and yeah, and then there's the one we stayed in, which the actual hotel part was fine, but I thought the rooms were a little weird. You cannot see that she is shaking her head no. The rooms were very weird. However, in the right situation, it would be
Did not
okay.
approve.
She did not approve. But the location was great. Although right across the street was a slightly nicer hotel, and we toured that one, and it probably cost just a little bit more, but I think it would be a good choice. And the one I stayed in the daytime, it was beautiful because it was in a slightly more in a neighborhood. So you had to walk 10 minutes past a park to get to the main Amsterdam. So for a little bit more, or there was a tram. We didn't figure out the tram, but if you wanted to take the tram, it was cool. But it was close to the zoo. And so if you wanted that more feel like not quite as crowded, it was in a good spot. Although I thought it was super dark at night, the lighting wasn't good in the room, but the rooms had the big high ceilings, which can make a difference in a European hotel to make the room feel a lot bigger. But yeah, so I think in overall, it was good to see all the hotels that we saw. Oh, and I guess we should talk about bathrooms, hotel bathrooms,
Yes.
because sometimes they're very, very small and very weirdly configured in Europe. I guess in Europe, people don't need as big as showers. I don't know, but so it's something
I mean,
to
I
make
guess,
sure our
I
clients
mean,
know.
yes. So that was one thing that Audra and I talked about while we were traveling, is we definitely need a tip sheet for our clients with all these little like European quirks. Like, one thing, when I led a Ireland group a few years ago, there aren't typically washcloths in your room in European hotels. And for a lot of Americans, that's a big deal, which I've always used like those little like loofah things. So like, it's not a big deal for me,
Yeah, me
but
either.
I was surprised by how big of a deal that was for a lot of the clients. So we were making
And
notes on some of those different things
yeah, and I think
and some
the
tips
no
that we
top
need to pull
sheet,
together.
the no sheet under your duvet, like
Yes.
it's just the duvet. So if you're a woman of a certain age and you get hot in the night, it's either whole duvet or no duvet. There's no like in between. So things like that,
Uh,
I think are good to know that it's definitely a little bit different than what you might be used to in a US hotel.
yes. And just like I mean, I don't want to say quality, but I guess maybe I do. Like, just like the levels are different. What we would consider like a basic Marriott here isn't as nice in Europe typically. Like it's just a
Yes.
different level system that you kind of have to be aware of. And the way that rooms are configured are different. It's very hard to find a room that sleeps five,
Right.
some different things like that.
Yeah. Although I will say European hotel breakfasts are way better than a US breakfast. I mean,
I
unless
would
you're doing
agree
like
with
the
that.
sit down breakfast, but the continental buffet at a European hotel is they have actual croissants that someone made. I do think the
Tastes like
breakfasts
croissant.
are nice, a little bit nicer than US ones.
I
It's not
agree.
just bagels, some flat bagels and orange juice. So,
I agree. I agree. And I do think the hotel that we help you decide on can really impact like your overall experience. Like the hotel that Audra and I stayed in on the front end, I mean, I survived. I lived. I don't know when I became this person who's like so bougie and can't handle it, but it was just very tiny. There was carpet on the walls. The bathroom was tiny. The toilet was in a weird location. Like it was just weird stuff that
you gotta
like
maneuver yourself into the toilet
you had to like shimmy. Yeah.
and don't poke yourself on the
But
sink.
on the sink while you're shimmying
Yeah.
to the toilet, yeah. I mean, it was just very weird little things, but it does make a difference. Like, if you're one of those types of people who's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what the hotel looks like," I'm probably not the right agent for you because I'm gonna go, "No, I don't think you really want that." Like, so, I mean, it's just something to think about depending on what you're looking at. But we also got to tour in Holland and in Amsterdam. So we went out to Delft, we went to Rotterdam, we went to The Hague. Audra and I went to the Anne Frank house on our own. We went to the Rembrandt Museum or Rembrandt House. What else did we do? I'm drawing a
Uh,
blank. That's some of the
yeah,
highlights.
we did that walking tour, the Anne Frank World War II walking
Oh,
tour,
yeah.
where we didn't go in the Anne Frank house, but where someone set the stage and told us about the history of the area and what happened going up to the persecution of the Jews and where the people lived and how Amsterdam has been like a accepting an international city until the Nazis came. But yeah, so it
Yeah.
was neat to learn about the history of the area and that part. I thought that was very cool. It was raining while we did that
Yeah.
tour,
And
but
it was very much raining, but we were dressed appropriately. We had
we
umbrellas. We
were.
were good, but it was very wet. I also really enjoyed Delft. Like, I understood what Delft was and like the blue and white tile patterns and that type of pottery or ceramics. But it was neat to see how it's designed and get to actually be in the actual store where it's created. That I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, I like that part a lot too. Plus, they had that when we explored the town. You got to love a big European courtyard with the little outdoor cafe seats and I don't know, just sitting there having your beverage and watching the people go by is just, it's very fun to do.
Yeah, I could have done that for longer, for sure.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that was
That
really
was really
nice.
short.
But our first part I thought was a really good overview of Amsterdam, things to do, things to see, and the different hotels. And I personally learned a lot. But then we kind of shifted gears, and the next part of our trip was the actual ASTA River Cruise Expo. So 1,600 US based travel advisors all there to see these 16 river cruise ships that they have brought in just for us to learn about. So, Audra, I know this was your first river cruise experience. So, what surprised you the most after seeing all the ships and after the conference?
Well, I mean, I like almost everything. So I knew I would like it, but it's really cool to see there's of course tons of similarities, right? The ships, I actually wrote down how long they are. Most of them are, hold on, 443 feet long. So they are very long and only so wide. And it's what the different brands do with the different spaces and the decor can definitely, just like your hotel, make a difference in how it feels. So I was glad to find that I like them all for different reasons. And that also, I guess, too, I think you hit on it a little bit earlier, like the level of service, like what is actually included. Because sometimes a river cruise, that number is big. But if you look at Is it a brand where they include all your excursions like once or twice a day? That adds up. If you like to go on excursions. If you don't like to go on excursions, there's other brands where that's separate. And what drinks are included and what drinks are not. So I do think seeing those differences are good. And then I am surprised. I think that in the US, I feel like we wait to go on a European river cruise till we're old. And I think we should go when you're younger. I feel like if you are, I mean, I do because mobility becomes an issue as we get older. Our knees and our hips hurt, and Europe is a lot of walking and it's less accessible. And I feel like we should embrace it. And I mean, why not explore Europe now? Like if you're 40 or 50, why wait till you're 70? I mean, if you're 70, still, you should go if you can. But I think a younger crowd should go.
Yeah, I completely agree. So one of the things that surprised me the most when Mike and I went on our first river cruise was I was in my early 40s and we were actually some of the youngest on the ship. It's just really surprising to me that that's the case. I get that when you have kids at home, it's harder to get away and that sort of thing, but I'm going to be 45 when I'm an empty nester. So all my kids will be out of the nest by 45 and I'm ready to river cruise. Let me tell you, like, it's one thing I said to Mike on the way home, like, I see a lot more river cruising in our future. It's just such a great way to see and explore so many different countries. There's river cruising everywhere, and there's so many options in Europe. And we had such a great experience being able to just see a few towns in northern Germany. I just love being able to go out and explore and do those things. And like you mentioned, it is so interesting how it all works with like what's included, what's not included. Like Mike and I aren't your excursion people. We do not want to go on a group excursion. We want to go out and do our own thing. So one day we went out and just started walking and hiked up to a castle because that's what we wanted to do. And we're still young enough that we can do it. But we don't want to be herded. We don't want to be in that group. So I think that does make a difference when you're thinking about what type of river cruise you want, what brand to pick, those sorts of things. So I think that's really important. Thinking about like the dining, the layout of the rooms, all of those different things. Is there a specific one that was your favorite or that you felt like was the most you?
Well, they're all me, but for different me's. I don't know if I mean, I feel like I need to do more experimentation, I guess, to go longer. But in general, I mean, I definitely liked our whatever Emerald. I was going to call it epic. That's the wrong thing. It was epic, but I like that it was casual and relaxed but it was a very modern feel, like not so much in the rooms, but like which is not my favorite, but it didn't bother me.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I had a favorite. I would have to look back over, but there's definitely ones I would like to try. Like I think I would like to try an
Yeah.
Avalon or Amadeus, or I do kind of want to go on Viva, the one that's a little more
Mhm.
European clientele, because I think it'd be cool to be on a ship where the people at the table over from you are like from Germany or from the Netherlands, versus everybody being like a US tourist kind of thing. So I don't know. Did you have
Yeah.
a favorite?
It's hard. I agree. I think it's hard. Like, there's definitely ones that I want to sail on, and we both signed up to go back to the ASTA River Cruise Conference next year. Next year it will be in Vienna, and I definitely want to stay on a different ship and do a different post-fam so I get different experiences. I've always really liked Alma Waterways, I think, because it was my first river cruise. I enjoyed the Emerald Luna. It was more budget, I guess, than some of the other cruise lines, more moderate, but the food was good. I don't mind it being a little bit more casual. I enjoyed it a lot, but I also wouldn't mind trying Scenic or Avalon or Amadeus. Just like you said, like I think each brand has such a unique fit within the market that I really just need to sail them all. So I guess that's on my
I
list.
mean, it's our job. We got to do it.
Right? Somebody's got to do it. It might as well be us.
Yeah.
But we also had education sessions while we were there. They had big sessions for like a general session. Elizabeth Gilbert spoke. But I came away with just a lot of knowledge about the different river cruise lines, getting to actually see and experience and tour the different cruises. I mean, overall, I felt like it was a great conference, and that's why I already signed up to go again.
Yeah, I definitely feel that we learned a lot. And it is very helpful, not just doing the learning part, but also seeing the ships. So I think it was definitely a worthwhile conference to go to.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So if any travel advisors are listening, we approve.
Yes.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Well, then at the end, Audra's husband, Eric, and my husband, Mike, came over and we did a 5-night cruise on the Emerald Luna. So we hit northern Germany. We went to Dusseldorf, Koblenz, Kokum, and Bonn. And overall, I felt like it was a really good experience, a nice taste of river cruising without us being gone forever. I mean, it felt like we were gone a long time to begin with all the pieces we put together. So as compared to the other ships, I think we've talked a little bit about how it's more modern and the whole vibe. But how did it differ? Well, we stayed on Amma during the expo. How did you find that it differed? And this was more of a vacation piece. So did that make a difference too, do you think? What were your thoughts?
Well, yeah, because, we actually did get to relax in the lounge. I don't know that on Amma. I guess we went in the lounge a couple times, but I'm pretty sure we were working those couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did really like the Amma, although we talked about like the lower level room. Again, you got to really find the right person where they're like literally the room is not the point. And I think most of us are really in the middle, like where we do want a nice room, but we don't necessarily need the top room. Like we're in that middle
Oh,
place where we want a comfortable room with just enough space. So river cruise rooms are small. I feel like they're probably smaller than ocean cruise rooms just by a little.
hmm
And the bathrooms are small, but they have like, you do have the lounge. Although I know my husband said he was like, on an ocean cruise, you have lots of different places to hang out. On your river cruise, you don't have as many, especially if it's colder. Like you have the lounge, and then usually there's another smaller area. And then if it's good weather, there's the whole top deck. But if it's colder, then you're not going to hang out up there. So you have to make sure you like the person you went with. And but if the
yeah.
room is comfortable, then you can go hang out in there for a little bit too. And of course, if you get a suite, bigger suite, then you'd have more space in your room. But I do think it was just really nice to float down the river. And we did do that afternoon of scenic. So ours was shortened because it was for the travel agents. But normally you would cruise farther and you would see even more castles. But floating down the river and either being in the lounge looking out the big floor to ceiling windows or going up on the top deck, it's pretty. I mean, because, we live in the US, we don't see castles quite as often as someone in Europe would. So I do think that part was really fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you make a good point though, like something in the middle. Like, so on Amma, we were staying downstairs, so in the swan rooms where you just have windows at the top. And it was fine because we were out in education and doing things the whole time. But for an actual vacation, I definitely liked our room on Emerald Luna better to have those full windows, to have the panoramic window that drops, like the infinite balcony on some of the ocean cruise ships. That was really nice. There was also a lot more storage on the Emerald Luna, which I thought was really beneficial and nice for more of a vacation feel. Overall, though, I think it just depends on the client. And if there are mobility issues and things like that, you need to talk to us when we're talking about this cruise because it does make a big difference.
And yeah, we
Not
need to
only what
know,
room you're in,
do you need the elevator?
but where you're
No,
going.
because some of the ships, the elevator goes all the way down to that bottom floor, and some it doesn't. And then most of them, the elevator does not go to the sun deck at all. So those are things that we definitely have to know if our clients do have mobility challenges.
Yes, and it can be an issue getting on and off the ship as well, depending on how far out you're parked and those sorts of things. So there are definitely things we need to talk through with you if there are mobility issues. But overall, I felt like it was a great taste of river cruising, gave us a good in-depth idea of what this feels like for our clients. And I really loved Coachum. Like, I think it was like stepping into a storybook. Like, it was my favorite port that we visited, and that was the one where Mike made me hike up to the castle.
Yeah.
And I also kind of like the pace of river cruising, like where you're out doing something, but then you can always come back to the ship and have lunch if you want to. And you're on the ship every evening, usually for dinner. And then you're cruising to your next port, you're unpacking once. I think that's a really big benefit over like a group tour or something like that, where you have a hotel for 2 nights and then you pack up and move to a different one as you go to these different places. That was something that I personally liked. Not that I don't do group tours too, I obviously do and like those as well, but it's just nice to not have to unpack a million times too.
Yeah, I think that part is very nice. And also, if someone doesn't like ocean cruising, I feel that a river cruise is totally different. The rivers are mostly flat. Any waves, it's your ship going that makes the waves. So I do think there's less risk of like seasickness if somebody has that. Being able to walk off. So like if you don't want to spend money on lunch in town, like you said, you can go back and have lunch on the ship and then walk back off. That's what I like is you get up nice and close in most of the ports to into the town. And that's just is I don't know, it's just really nice, like a little short walk. And then a lot of them have bikes. I like doing bike tours. So that is a fun thing to do. Like we did a bike tour and then we had the whole afternoon to go explore. So I think it can work out both ways.
Yeah, I think they do a really nice job of making it just very easy, like a floating hotel. So you get to see a lot of things at once. And that's something I like about ocean cruising too. But I completely agree with you that it's totally different, much smaller, lot fewer people. Even if you don't like ocean cruising, you should give river cruising a try because it is so different and just a very different overall feel and vibe. Plus, you can see land. Like, I think for some people, the thought of being in the middle of the ocean is kind of scary, but you can always see both
You can
sides
always
of
see
the
land.
river.
You're
Like,
in a
it's
river.
not, yeah, it's not like you're in the middle of the ocean. There's not the waves, all of those things. So, I think you should give it a try. So, I don't know. There's just so many things I love about river cruising, and I love all types of travel, and I think you have the same problem,
Yeah,
Audra. Like,
it's a
you
problem.
love all of it, and so it makes it really hard to narrow things down to say, like, "I like this best," because we really like everything, but we can narrow it down for you if you're looking for something specific.
It's good for our clients though, because if you're a person who's, I mean, I definitely am strongly opinionated, but like in a like I understand different people kind of way. Like if I hated ocean cruising, it would be hard to sell it to people, but oh my gosh, I love it. But I also love a good group tour and I can see the pluses and minuses. And I think that's a good thing as someone's travel agent that I can give them, in my opinion, the pluses and minuses or how I think it would feel for you once you get to know the person. So I do think in some ways it is the benefit that I always joke like my favorite color is the rainbow. And I feel that that in travel too. Like, what's your favorite? All of
All of
it.
it.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah. But I feel that actually makes us good travel agents because we can see the value of all different kinds of travel.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and especially if you come to us and just say, I want to go to Italy. Well, okay, well, we could do this group tour, or we could do an ocean cruise where you go around the outside, or we could do, like, we have ideas and we can help you navigate that and figure out what's best, what's going to work best for your group, for your family, for just you. Even solo travelers, there's different options for solo travelers as well. So, Audra, if someone is listening to this today and thinking about Europe or thinking about a river cruise, what would be the first thing you would tell them?
First thing. Well, I mean, I would tell them they're going to love it, but I guess I'd want to know like why do they want to go to Europe? Like what is important to them there? And then definitely, I mean, just I think that ease of it. I think it's the unpack once that really lets you enjoy. I mean, of course, you can only mostly see towns that are close to the river. I mean, there's some, I think, well, they'll bust you in a little closer. But if the town is on a river, I think it's a really good way to see a country or a couple countries, depending on the itinerary that you do.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think one thing that we both learned on this is just how special this type of travel is and how important this type of travel is for us as Americans to be able to experience these different cultures and to see the different things that we're able to see that just aren't available here in the US for us. And I think it's really important that you do utilize a travel advisor or someone who has a lot of knowledge about these different destinations so that it's planned the right way. Any final thoughts, Audra?
No, I mean, I do think everybody should go on a river cruise in Europe. I think you should make a list of which places you want to go. And then actually, you could also, I mean, I wouldn't mind a river cruise in Egypt or in Asia. What is that? The Mekong River? They were
Mekong,
talking about.
yes.
I don't even know what country that's in without Googling it yet, but I think we should go there too.
That one goes into Vietnam.
Vietnam. Okay. And then there's some in India. Like, so we saw a company that joins you do like the inside, like the big tourist areas, and then you come out to the edge and you go through the rivers there. I mean, rivers are how people explored our world a billion years ago. And not a billion, but a long time ago. And I do think that they're just a great way to see parts of the world is from the water.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there are so many options. We've mostly focused on Europe, but really they're all over the world. And we'd love to help you make your river cruise dreams a reality. If you reach out to us at Pineapple Escapes, we can help guide you every step of the way. And many of our agents are well versed on river cruising. So Audra, thanks for joining me today. And thank you all for listening. And we hope that you'll reach out to us if Europe or a river cruise is in your future. Thanks for listening to the Travel Tidbits Podcast. And remember, travel makes life sweeter. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Travel Tidbits Podcast, where we believe travel makes life sweeter. The team at Pineapple Escapes Travel would love to help you plan a trip filled with lasting memories. Visit us online at www.pineappleescapes.com to start planning your next adventure.